You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show. Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire, joined here by a gurning Keke Murri. Hi, Keke.
No morjes.
No, not good pulling faces. Just I'm about to go into my introduction, but it's all good.
I'm just getting ready for the tasty show we got to come today.
Very, very good. Well, we're gonna preview the next round of games in the Women's Nations League. The Helmarit have got a double header. This takes me back to Sunday football, where you were trying to cram in all the fixtures at the end of the season. You'd play two games on the same morning. Not quite that tough for the Helmarit. But they do have a double header against Croatia. So we'll have a look at the Finland squad, look at the opponents, and also make a few predictions for these couple of upcoming games. But I reckon it might be a good idea to start with the final rounds of the Veikkausliiga games, because HJK Helsinki were crowned champions again, and we'll have a look also at the chances of the competitors in the Europa Conference playoffs. There's quite a few teams still in with a shout of playing off for Europe, and this season it's going right down to the final games, which is good. So,
yep.
I think, Keke, if you're ready,
yep.
The referee's ready. Let's have a look at the final day of results. Firstly, in the Mestaruussarja, the top half of the table. So that saw FC Honka 3, FC Inter 0, HJK Helsinki 1, KuPS Kuopio 2, and HJK Seinäjoki 0, VPS Vaasa 2. And, well, as I said, HJK are champions. One of the Finnish Football Show, Mr. Ali Manson, is a HJK Helsinki fan. He lives in the shadow of the Bolt Arena. So let's hear. He's not with us today, but he's recorded some of his thoughts from the game last Saturday.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Sorry I cannot be there, but after a rather down couple of weeks following the Hukayat, I have to say I'm much more chipper after HJK have picked KuPS to the title yet again, after yet another final day showdown. KuPS needed to win by 3 clear goals, and to be fair to them, they gave it a right go. They were the better team from start to finish, but they just couldn't manage any more than a 2-1 victory, which was more than enough for HJK, whose fans started the celebrations long before the final whistle. KuPS can definitely take heart from this season and that performance on Saturday for sure. But of course, they'll be bitterly disappointed to fall short yet again, and will naturally be looking at how they can go one step further next season. KuPS also took a really good and strong away following down to the capital. And I'm sure the fans, even though, of course, they'll be gutted by the result, there's definitely some positives for KuPS to be taking from that game. HJK's attention now, the party from Saturday night is starting to calm down just a little bit, now turns to Frankfurt and a small matter of playing Eintracht Frankfurt in their own backyard, which is the first of 2 games versus the 2022 Europa League champions. So yeah, definitely a huge test, but of course I'm dreaming a little about these games and, maybe getting something over there. I'll be at the home leg in a few weeks' time because, I guess if you can't dream in football, the game gets a tad boring, doesn't it?
Okay, so I guess I have to say congratulations to HJK. It hurts, but not as much as that game on Saturday, HJK 0, VPS 2. It was tough. It was a tough watch. HJK were putting out social media before the game about, we want to be the Pokemon masters for this season. We've won again. They've won again. Come on, we can, do this and get everyone excited. And Vasa are just good this year. I don't know what else to say. Like all season, HJK have been playing this kind of possession based, trying to keep the ball, moving it around, and at times they've managed to find that attacking impetus. And a lot of times they haven't, and it's felt like sort of side to side, turning around in circles, going back, and not really pressuring and not really threatening the opponents. And by contrast, VPS got the ball, they played the ball forward quickly, and then they had fast forwards just powering with the ball at your goal. And I don't know if it was just because I was a bit sort of keyed up and nervous, but it felt to me that every time they got the ball, there was this. Well, there was a roar of sound because there were a hell of a lot of VPS fans in our stadium. They were everywhere. We were infested with black and white stripes all over the place. But the noise just seemed to power them on, and you felt they were a threat every time they got the ball. So, as much as it really hurts me to say this, they deserved it. They deserved their bronze medal. The only consolation is we can still nick their European place. But if I'm completely honest, I don't fancy any of those other teams beating Vasa. They've now got a couple of days, or maybe 10 days break.
Rest, yep.
While the other teams have got to play in this sort of knockout competition. So the way it works now is that HJK play Oulu on Wednesday and Inter play Honka again on Wednesday. The winners of that, so it's just one-off games, the winners of that then play next Saturday for the right to play against Vasa in a two-legged game. So there's two ways of looking at it. Either, I don't think any of the players should be really exhausted. They've just had the international break, so there's been a bit of a break. But potentially they're playing 5 games in 15 days if you get all the way to the end. And does that mean that you're sort of a well-oiled machine going into those games and Vasa have got a break, and do they take their foot off? Or does it just mean that they're rested and they're ready to come and just power their way to the Europe as well? So I don't know. If they get it, they deserve it. If we can nick that place, that would be quite a big consolation prize, I suppose. But I was in touch with Vasa fan Villa, who joined us a few shows ago today, and we exchanged some very civilized, grown-up congratulations to each other. No, and he said that if they qualify for Europe, he'll come back on the pod next year. So,
good.
Well, it depends, because if he doesn't come back on next year, it means someone else got to Europe.
Listen. I don't think anyone would be betting against Pepsi at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like they've just got it together. I mean, they've done you for the bronze medal by 7 points. They're only 4 points off of the 2 top teams. They
and they didn't start playing until July.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if their start of the season had been a little bit better, we could have been talking about a new champion.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
How would that have been? But to obviously the final game of the regular season, it went down to the wire. Coops got a result away at HJK, and I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what the goal swing needed to be, but I think it was 2-1. I think they needed to beat them about 8-0, didn't they?
I think it wasn't quite so many. Maybe it was, I think they needed a 3-0 win would have switched thing around. 3 clear goals, yeah. So they didn't quite get there, but
it was exciting stuff, to see that go down to the wire, and obviously HJK lifting. Well, not muted celebrations. They did go bananas. I think that was what was their 4th in a row, was it? But yeah, it's always nice to win a league, but you want to try and sign off with a win, and to sort of get beat by the team in second, and it go down to the wire like that. That was quite exciting. But yeah, we said it before, Mark. VPS are the story of the season. I think well deserved their bronze medal, and the players and the coaches and the fans have had a roaring season, and I can say this, but long may it continue.
I like to have a joke when we're doing better than them, but I'm a grown man now. And especially doing this show, like we want to cover and be positive about all of Finnish football, don't we? So there's no. I'm sure there's some hatred between some of the fans of those two clubs, but for me, it's rivalry. We go again next year.
That's it.
But first, maybe we'll try and nick that European place.
Good luck.
In the Haastajasarja, the final 3 games were Oulu 1, Honka 1, Lahti 1, Ilves 5. Ilves continuing their late season sort of form, which will be keeping Jamie, friend of the show, Jamie, happy. And then right at the bottom, this was KTP 0, Mariehamn 2, which basically meant that Mariehamn went above KTP, probably for the first time all season. Because we were saying the first half of the season again, KTP were like 5th or 6th, or around the middle, and they were looking quite steady, and they just dropped like a stone.
Like a stone, yeah. That's it. Yeah, I mean, just Mariehamn just nicked that playoff spot. So it is KTP who get relegated back to Ykkönen, and IFK Mariehamn will have a chance to keep their Veikkausliiga status.
Yeah, they'll have a playoff, I guess 2-legged playoff against Gnistan from the Helsinki area. But that was quite a game, because Gnistan had a one-off playoff against HJK Academy on Saturday. And I was at the stadium. I think Satu and I watched the last 20 minutes or so of that Academy game, and Academy, we was 1-1, and then Academy went ahead 2-1 with maybe 15 minutes left, and it was like, come on, can you hold in? And then I think it got to 90 minutes, and there were 5 minutes of injury time, and then it was inside those minutes of injury time that Gnistan got an equaliser. And we were like, it's 5-5 now. We've got to get out on the terrace and take our space, because there's another game kicking off. We were following it on the phone, and it was like, okay, 3-2 to Gnistan, 4-2 to Gnistan. And I have to say, well, Stevie Grieve, the academy manager, said the other week that I said, what happens if you get into that final? And he said, we cause chaos. And then I sent him a message after the game on Saturday. I said, commiserations and all that. He said, yeah, it was a good performance. We had our chances, he said, but we wanted to cause more chaos. I think I actually saw Richie Dorman, the HJK technical director, in the bar, and I said to him, they're keeping things interesting. And he looked at me and said, they're making my life very interesting. I don't know whether we should be cheering or not. It's just like so stressful. So I think for the kind of for the sporting integrity of the last game of the season, that playoff, it makes sense that it's between two teams that really want to be in the Veikkausliiga and will be there. And I've got nothing against Mariehamn, but it's also quite nice to see a couple of different teams coming up this year as well. I wouldn't have minded if it was Mikkeli either, whoever got there, but it's good to see some different names up there.
No, definitely. I mean, I keep a little eye on Gnistan, just because my man crush Eero Markkanen is there now, and he's had an half decent season. But yeah, there was a bit of breaking news coming out of Gnistan this afternoon, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's Rich sent us a message.
At least one of them will be in the Veikkausliiga next season.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it seems like their manager is heading from Gnistan into Ilves for next season.
Yeah, Ilves. Yeah.
So we'll watch this space.
Which with a game like that coming up, a chance to make it into the Veikkausliiga after he's done pretty well with Gnistan in Ykkönen this year. It does seem a bit weird that they haven't just held that back for a little while, just to maybe let him and his team and the fans focus on what is probably the biggest game in their recent memory, you know. But
it's true, isn't it?
Have come out and spoiled the party.
But just give him a week. Let that couple of games go by, and then you could announce your story. I don't see what the point was really of coming out. There we go.
But we'll see what that announcement does to their preparation, and we'll see if it's them or the Åland side that stay in the Veikkausliiga.
Yeah, indeed. Top scorers. I don't know if goals scored in this final tournament count in the top scorers. I guess it probably does. But at the moment, you've got Radulovic from HJK on 18 goals from 24 games. You've got Peter Michael from Vasa with 14 goals in 26 games. Although I think it's probably 14 goals in about 15 games, really, isn't it? He's been on fire with the whole team recently. Ashley Coffey from Oulu on 12, and Jaime Moreno from HJK on 11. Sorry, so they're kind of the top four, and I've added a few others into the blog post, so you can see those there. But it seems like, well, Peter Michael's got a couple more games to play in this competition. I wouldn't bet against him getting 3 in those 2 games and climbing to the top, but we'll have to wait and see. Anything? I think we should in a future episode look a little bit more detail about the all the promotions and relegations and things like that. And I'm going to do a little bit of research into what's been going on in Seinäjoki in this season, because apart from HJK first team, if you look down through all the different divisions, there's different teams from this area that have sort of been riding quite high in their tables. So we'll throw a little bit of positivity in the direction of postcode 60100 a little bit later in the winter, I think. But anything else from you, Keke, on the Veikkausliiga?
No, just to say, obviously, that HJK go into Champions League qualification again. Cups get that Europa League qualification chance. So yeah, we'll wait with bated breath to see who they get drawn against. Which clubs from which nations they get drawn again in the early rounds that will start before we know it. And
of course, HJK still got this year's European Conference
to contend
going on, haven't they? So they're away in Germany later this week.
Eintracht Frankfurt, yeah. So exciting times, mate. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then and look at the Women's Nations League campaign. So just as a reminder, Finland are sitting there in Group B2, and they're in the same group with Romania, Slovakia, who they played in the previous 2 games last month, and Croatia. And Finland are ranked 28th. Looking at their record this year, they've won 6 and drawn 1. And Croatia are ranked 60th. And this year they've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 3. And Finland beat Croatia 4-1 earlier this year. We mentioned last time how Finland have played all these teams already earlier this year in friendlies, so it gave us a little bit of relevant form to think about. And as I said in the introduction, it's a double header. So Finland play Croatia in the Bolt Arena in Helsinki. It's a 6:45 on Friday the 27th, the Friday coming. And then the following Tuesday, they play in Sibenik in Croatia at 6 p.m. finish time. And I've also, in the show notes there, put the links to where you can watch these games on Yle 2 or Arena. Keke, that's kind of the overview, but what about the Helmarit squad? Do you want to go through the squad in the different positions maybe and tell us what you noticed?
Yeah, can do, mate. I mean, I think we've discussed the Helmarit squad recently, and it is a pretty settled squad. We've noticed a few younger players coming in and there has been some that were a little bit more recognisable that are now absent. But yeah, if I just run through the squad here, obviously we've got Tinja-Riikka Korpela in goals, with Anna Tamminen of Hammarby and Nilamai Maijasari, who's in the Damallsvenskan with Uppsala as well. So yeah, really strong position for Helmarit. I mean, Tini's now at Roma. They're currently top of Serie A. Tini's had a couple of clean sheets. Roma have qualified for the Women's Champions League. So yeah, not a bad place to be. So Tini will be going into this camp with high confidence. She's been sort of sharing the goalkeeping duties at Roma, but yeah, whenever she's played, she's done really well. And as I said, she's got a couple of clean sheets under her belt.
And she's sharing it with the Romania goalkeeper. I think it was the Romania goalkeeper. There was some video before the last game. They did a shirt swap,
didn't they? Yeah, they did a workshop. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. But talking of clean sheets, one of the other goalkeepers, Anna Tamminen, she broke the Damallsvenskan record. She's kept a record 700 minutes without conceding a goal. So yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable. She claimed that record. Yeah, it's now expired. It's now gone. Like she's let a goal in since then. But to claim that record, and she was voted Player of the Month over there in Sweden. So it's 700 minutes.
It's about seven clean sheets, is it? Seven games without conceding. Wow.
So 700 minutes for any keeper at any level is unbelievable, really. So yeah, kudos to Anna Tamminen, and long may that continue. Then we go into the defenders. We've got Natalia Kuika from Portland Thorns, obviously a bit of a stalwart. You'd expect her to feature. Johanna Tunila from SK Brann. They've also qualified for the Women's Champions League, so that's really good news for Johanna there. Eva Nystrom, who's at Hammarby. She's a teammate of Anna Tamminen's. Plays in defence, as I said, and some of that 700 minutes of clean sheets has to go down to Ava as well, I suppose, if she's been in defence and protecting Anna Tamminen there. So that's fantastic. Eli Pikku-Jampsa, who up until recently has been at Racing Louisville in the US. I think she's just actually packed her bags to leave Louisville. I think not sure where she's off to next, but I think her contract there has come to an end, and so she'll be leaving the US and looking for a new home. But yeah, brilliant. I mean, we've watched a lot of the Helmarit, and Pikku-Jampsa is always one that we like to keep an eye on. She's a cracking player. Emma Koivisto, obviously Liverpool in the WSL. Liverpool have had a bit of a mixed start to this WSL season, but yeah, Emma's been as strong as ever, so that's really good. Nora Helrum of Sampdoria, we've got Tia Peltonen of Fortuna Höring, Katarina Kosola of BK Häcken. They've also qualified for the Champions League, another Damallsvenskan side, and Katarina Kosola, yeah, she's a regular at Häcken and a really decent player, so expect good things from her. Then we've got Evelina Summanen, obviously of Tottenham. She's been scoring.
You're moving into midfield now.
Sorry, mate. Yes, moving into the midfielders. So yeah, Evelina Summanen. Obviously, those of you who keep an eye on our Instagram will have seen me over there at Leyton Orient. I took my boy over to see Spurs women, just to see Evelina and Olga Arkinen. But what a cracking day that was! They both scored, and and Eve was a player of the match. So it was brilliant. And
did you have your Seitsemän Tamminen flag with you to attract the girls over after the game?
Of course I did, mate. Take it everywhere I go.
It was a good picture of your lad there with the two players standing sort of just behind him.
Mate, they're always very gracious with their time, and they really enjoy seeing the the support coming from Finland there. So yeah, they were more than happy to come and speak to myself and Kimmy and sign a couple of
Do they
autographs
know?
for
Do
him.
they know you as? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right. I think a selfie with the players is the modern day autograph, really, isn't it? That's what people get.
There you go.
But do they know that you're with the podcast?
Yeah, I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it to them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously they're desperate to get on, and I said, when we get time, when we get time, we'll fit them in.
Yeah. Well, there's no time at the moment because there's so many games going on at the minute. It's
exactly
like there's a podcast in our like every 8 days at the moment. We've never been so prolific.
The football never stops. But yeah, sorry. So moving on, we've got Oulu Sirin of Cups. They're top of the league in Finland of the Kansallinen Liiga. So she unfortunately her twin sister misses out on this squad for reasons unknown. We've tried to find out what the crack is there, but yeah, we're I'm sure if you know, leave it in the comments and let us know. But then we've got Anna Hartikainen, also of Cups. Olga Artinen, as I said, from Tottenham, Evelina's teammate. She's settled in really, really well in London. Goals, assists, player of the match performances. She just looks made for football at that level. You know what I mean? She's been really, really good since she came to Spurs. Then we've got Ria Erling of FC Rosengård, another Swedish team who are qualified for the Women's Champions League. So yeah, great pedigree there. Emmy Alanen of Kristianstad, Sunny Franci from Real Sociedad. Of course, Linda Salström, who's now at Vitsjo in Sweden, obviously our leading goal scorer ever. We'll expect to see Linda feature and hopefully add to that huge goal tally that she's already chalked up for the national team. We've got Jutta Rantala, who's also in the WSL. She's signed for Leicester City. Another one who's settled in really, really well into the WSL. Another one who's chipping in with goals and assists for a new club. And yeah, looks, as I said, with Olga, Jutta looks absolutely made to play football at that level as well. So yeah, she's doing really, really good things at Leicester City. Then we've got Heidi Kolonen of Orebro and Orna Sevenius of Como in Italy. So yes, as I said, mate, like bit of a mixture. Some pretty much like the previous squad. There's some regular names, and those names of the younger players that are becoming more familiar and more regular to us as they feature in more and more squads.
I was just thinking while you were reading through that squad that there's probably 7 or 8 players there that are real regulars at the moment. And if the listeners thinking, about, I mean, it takes time. You start watching a new team, and for us as well, the last few years we've tried to watch more and more of the women's games, and you start to recognise some names, and then players leave. And I remember Anna Vesterlund was my favourite a couple of years ago as centre back, spraying these passes. And just as I started to recognise her and remember her name, she retired. And
that's it.
And now we've got to find new heroes. But I just thought I'd mention that. I mean, Tinni Kopela in goal is generally gonna start.
Generally nailed on, yeah.
Yeah, and then across the back, the back four is pretty solid. Koivisto, Kuikka, Nyström, Pikkujämsä. That's pretty steady. In the midfield, Summanen and Kosola are like, I'm not saying they're nailed on. They will. There is competition for places, but they're often, they've started the last 2 games, for example, and then up front, Erling, Salström, Rantala are all regular starters. So there's probably 7 or 8 players there that you could start to listen out for the name and keep an eye on them during the games.
That's it.
Yeah, and for people just trying to connect with the women's team as well, I'm thinking.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of these players will feature over the couple of games, and yeah, as you said, mate, there's some regular names there that people who listen to our show and have started to watch the Helmarit should start getting a bit familiar with. We've spoken about a couple who haven't quite made it for this squad, and another one who we've sort of spoke about before. And we wasn't quite sure what had happened, but there's been some press recently about Amanda Rantanen, who's actually suffered a nasty injury. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know if it's really a really an injury that you get, like not someone's kicked you or something like that. But yeah, she's suffering what I can only think is described as shin splints, which is sort of that very painful. It's just from too much activity, I believe. But she's
is it something players get when they're younger as well? She's quite young, isn't she?
Yeah, she is quite young. Yeah, but I mean, she's been playing for a long time since she was very young. But yeah, she's had some sort of surgery, and it is I think it's quite a long road back. It could be sort of a good few months before she's back playing in anger. But obviously, we wish Amanda Rantanen well and hope that she's pulling on the blue and white jersey of Finland again very soon.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned that, because that is someone who sort of just disappeared out, and we were scratching our heads a little bit when we first noticed that. So it's good that you bring it up. And what about the Croatia squad? I've included a listing of the Croatia women's squad, like a graphic of it in the blog post. So wherever you're watching or listening, there's a link just below all the introductory blurb. There's and the chapters as well, which my teammates in the Finnish football show were very complimentary on the other day.
Indeed.
So you should find chapters in many of the podcast players, and certainly on YouTube. And if not, then I list them in the description, so you can at least sort of manually skip through if you don't have the chapters there. But you'll find a link there also to this blog post, where you've got all of the graphics and pictures and bits and pieces that we've nicked and stuck together like a modern day scrapbook to supplement the show that you're listening and watching. Keke, do you have any comments on the Croatia squad? I think we've made it a point of saying we're not going to just pretend we know about things we don't know about. We've given some info and some insights into the women's Finland women's team. What about Croatia?
So I'm prepared to give you the full rundown. No, not really. I can't pretend to know too much about the Croatia women's squad, but I've had a little look over them, and they're playing at various clubs. But one thing that did sort of stand out for me, Mark, was obviously I've gone through the Finland squad there, and I've mentioned the 3, 4, however many it is, girls that we've got playing in the Women's Champions League. And I just something that I did notice was the clubs that the Croatian players are at, they're not clubs that will feature in this season's Women's Champions League. So it just goes to show you that club status that the Finland players are at is just a little bit higher than those of their Croatian counterparts. Yeah.
Okay. No. Good point. So the way Group B2 is lining up at the moment, after 2 games, Finland are top with 2 wins, so 6 points. Slovakia second with 3 points, and Croatia third. Now, having said that Croatia are the lowest ranked, they did get a win against Romania in match day 1 at home, a 2-1 win against Romania. But then in the next game, they got beaten 4-0 by Slovakia. So Finland beat Slovakia 4-0, and then Slovakia beat Croatia 4-0, which means
we're going to win 8-0.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work that way, but it does give you a little bit of confidence. And it's interesting how they've done this double header thing, because obviously that means that Slovakia and Romania have also got a double header over this coming weekend as well. So if we can beat the lowest ranked team a couple of times, it's going to be very difficult for the others to come against us, to get past us in this Group B2 table. Whether how Finland would get on in the A Group A tables would be interesting to see, but let's beat the teams that are in front of us first. I've already written in my predictions, Keke. I'll let you go first. Firstly, the home game, Finland versus Croatia.
So the home game, I'm going to go. We should mention actually that the home game is taking place at the Bolt Arena there in Helsinki.
Yes.
And at the time of recording, I believe there's over 7,000 tickets sold. Obviously, the Paloliito and particularly those behind the Helmarit have turned this match period, this match day, into something of a celebration. It's 50 years we're celebrating 50 years of Helmarit, so of 50 years of women's football in Finland. So yeah, of it, 7,000 tickets sold is fantastic. I mean,
in a stadium that holds 10,000, if they can get more people committing to those tickets during this week, that's going to be a cracking atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, Mark, if you cast your mind back to when we spoke to Tinja-Riikka Korpela, and she told us about, obviously this was during the strange time of COVID when they were playing in empty stadiums, but they could hear some fans up on the rocks there who were chanting for them. But this time round, it'll be an absolutely jam-packed stadium. So I mean, that's fantastic for the women, and yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah, over 7,000 tickets sold. As I said, 50 years of women's football in Finland, so definitely something to be celebrated. But back to the prediction, I'm going for that party atmosphere. I'm going with a resounding 4-0. Yes, 4-0 win.
That's exactly what I put. Okay. And for the away game?
Well, I think this may be a tighter affair, but as you said, we're ranked 28th, sandwiched between Czech Republic and Wales in the FIFA rankings, and our friends Croatia are down in 60th at the moment, between Ghana and India. So I think it will be a little bit tighter, but I still think that we should be coming away with a win and 3 points there. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, mate.
Okay, 2-0. I went for 3-1 because I think there's still goals in us. But Croatia can score goals. We've seen that in their in at least in the game against Romania at home. So I thought maybe that might get them a goal there. I reckon, Keke, we've come to the end of the show. I think that was quite tight, 40 minutes or so. Especially once I put on the intro and the outro, that always adds a little bit on.
Lovely. We
had no coarse language today, nothing to edit out. So this should be nice, a nice tight show. Yeah, I think, listener, we'll be back after these two Helmarit games. Have a look back at the two matches against Croatia and give you a bit of a status update in the Veikkausliiga European playoffs. I'm now thinking, depending how HJK get on, scheduling these shows is going to be a bit tight because the Helmarit play Wednesday, and then I think Tuesday, and then I think the Wednesday is the first of the games involving VPS and whoever gets through this process. So let's not count our chickens before they're hatched. Because before they're hatched, they could easily become scrambled eggs rather than chickens. So let's leave it there and just keep your eyes open. We'll make sure that we're sharing when these pods come out on social media, and if you subscribe, then you'll always get us at the top of your feed.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button. That's it.
Do it.
And
all right.
Obviously, we welcome your comments as well. Hit us up. Let us know what you think and how we're getting on.
All right. Apart from the person who I'm not going to give the glory of naming on YouTube, who keeps trolling us that Finland don't bother attacking. After the Denmark game, that was fair comment, but he's still banging on about the Denmark game, and it's a bit tedious. But anyway, no oxygen of publicity for that character. Right, Keke, good to speak to you, mate. We'll speak again soon, I'm sure.
Yo, kiitos, näkemiin.
And listener, until the next episode of the Finnish Football Show, thanks a lot. Goodbye. You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. See the links in the episode description. You can also connect with the 5 hosts on Twitter, @Explore Finland, @FC Suomi, @Escape to Suomi, @Kekkimuleri, and @Mano99. Links to the Finnish Football Show merch stores are also in the episode description.